Gregoire, and we have some other maybe new people in the room. So if we could quickly just go around and just introduce yourself, maybe say where you're from or any other information you'd like to disclose. So I'm Pat George, and I'm the board chair, and I'm from Dodge City. I got the heck out of Dodge for the day. Yeah. Jason?
Jason Hess. I'm the executive director at Heartland Regional Alcohol Drug Assessment Center. I'm the BSRB appointment.
Again, I'm Sandra Dixon. I'm director of behavioral health at LMH Health. I live in Lawrence. I'm the governor's appointee, and I will apologize in advance for this corner of the room.
Yeah.
Let's see, is blue on or blue off?
Blue on, yeah.
Blue's on, okay. I'm Mike Brower. I'm with the county manager's office in Johnson County, and I am an appointee of the Kansas Association of Counties.
Gary Henson. I don't have the credentials these guys do. I'm just a private citizen being concerned about the issue.
Do you have your, you have to push the button and it turns to blue? Yeah, if it's blue, you're.
If it's blue, I'm good. Thank you. Ken Gregoire, I'm a retired psychologist and worked with the Valley Hope Association for 4 or 5 decades. And I'm interested in what this board is doing, largely because of talks with Pat. So he asked if I'd be interested, and I said, well, if you think I am interested, I am. So I mean, Pat and I have worked together for a long time.
Let's continue with staff. Krista?
You online probably know me, so I'm going to just introduce myself. Krista Machado with Sunflower Foundation, for Ken behind me.
Alyssa Nava with the Sunflower Foundation. I am program manager.
I am Chris Teeters with the AG's office, and I'm, I guess, the litigation subject matter expert.
I'm Robert Hutchison with the AG's office, and I'm general counsel to the board, along with Joe Bisotti, who will be here later today.
He's the conductor of the train. How about that? Brandon?
Brandon Skidmore, I'm President and CEO of the Sunflower Foundation. We provide support to the board through a contract with the Attorney General's office.
Me, Shanna Zimmer. I'm the CFO with Sunflower Foundation. Great to have you.
Emily Wolf, I'm with Sunflower Foundation. I'm the Grants and Finance Manager.
Nancy?
Nancy Deaver, and I'm the program consultant with the AG's office.
Thank you again for being here. The online, I think Keith and Robin, maybe? You wanna...
I'm Keith Rickard, retired Mental Health Center Director, represent the Mental Health Centers Association.
Hi, Robin Chadwick, retired President of Ascension View Christi St. Joseph, which included Behavioral Health Services, and I was appointed by the Senate Chair.
Thank you, Robin and Keith and everybody else. And again, thank you for being here today. We got main item of business for today is to approve some of our applicants for RFP 4. Connie, do you have roll? Do I need to take that again, or do you get everybody? I got it. Okay, very good. The first item of business is would look for a motion to approve the minutes from our November 22nd meeting.
This, Jason, so approved.
Second.
Second, Mike.
Mike, any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Unanimous. We'll turn to Chris now for any. And now I'll look for a motion to approve the November 8th minutes.
This is Sandra. I move to approve.
And the second by
This is Robin, I second.
Robin seconds. Any discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approval of November 8th minutes? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed, same sign. All right, another unanimous vote there. Off to a good start. Now we'll turn to Chris and look, any updates from the AG's office?
Mr. Chair, just a couple updates. One thing just for our new board member, just as a reminder, these meetings are subject to open meetings and open records acts. At some point, we will likely have an update for you, but we'll probably have individual just conversation with you about what those terms actually mean. The number one thing I'd like to remind all board members is please do ensure that you conduct any board-related business through the AG-issued email account. If you do not remember your AG email account or password, please do talk with Nancy or I after the board meeting so we can make certain you are continuing to conduct board business through that. That's so we can maintain control over those records and make certain we're preserving what we are supposed to be preserving. The second update, this is again more administrative. As you all may recall, last legislative session, the legislature approved reimbursement and certain additional expenses for board members. Thank you for your patience as we, as the AG's office, worked through some of the more novel things that we had to work through on this particular process. You have all received information, I believe, from either Nancy or Connie about paperwork that you would need to fill out. For the, I think if any of you have past expenses, and what I mean by past expenses is any expenses for a board meeting from January 1st of this year to today, please get that into Nancy before the end of the year. That'll make our lives a whole lot easier. Going forward, I would request that any expenses that were incurred for a board meeting are submitted to Nancy by the following board meeting, just again, so that we make lives easier, with the exception of the June board meeting, which I need as soon as possible after the June board meeting so that we can get that in by the end of the fiscal year. I'll talk about that again in June. Couple other things about that. For those who have expenses from prior to June of 2024, and I think that's so far only one member, we do have an additional form you have to fill out. The state requires us to get you to sign a notarized document so we can pay you from the past or the previous fiscal year, so please do that. Then a couple other things. We have not talked about this, but I do want to flag this for everybody. For hotels and that type of expense, the way that the state has enabled us to pay that is it has to be, for hotels, it has to be at the state-approved rate, which is the government rate. It's, I believe, the same as the federal government rate. If you need to figure out what that rate is or how to access that rate, please talk to Nancy or I. We can get you information on how to do that. And the second thing is, because this board only meets one day a month, typically, you would only be eligible for one night's stay. Even if you had other business in this part of the state, you'd only be eligible for one night with the board. So please ask any questions that you may have about that. The last thing I'll say is that the way the statute is worded, you are entitled to a $35 payment for, I believe it's just the day of the board meeting, but you would be entitled to a $35 stipend pay for that board meeting. I think you have to request that, though, so just please note that if you don't request it, you're not getting it.
That's 35 on top of mileage.
Yes, yes.
And this is probably not a question for you, maybe more for the Department of Administration. You know, having traveled for years, always seek the government rate, which can vary from night to night, and just depends on occupancy. So that seems kind of, because I stay at the same hotel every time I come here, and the rates vary from $100 to $400 depending upon. So
yeah, if the hotel offers a government rate, you have to ask that. If they don't offer a government rate, I believe the policy is that you have to go to a hotel that does offer the government rate, as that's what the state is willing to pay. That's the information I'm getting from my financial folks, who are getting it, I believe, from the Department of Administration. So, so that's on the reimbursement side. For case development information, really the only thing that's a new development or an ongoing development, I suppose, is that we are working towards getting the Kroger settlement filed, which will enable additional funding flowing to the state. I did do a bit of a projection for the board. Just we've talked in the past about the projection of how much money the state's going to receive, which is roughly $340 million over the next, at this point, roughly 15 years. One of the things I wanted to make clear is that the state has already received between 112 and 115, and the reason I say between is because I don't have in my mind exactly how the Indo payment adjusted that number. It's somewhere in that range, but I can't remember the exact spot. But the thing I wanted to flag for the board is that on average, you are in years going forward going to have in the neighborhood of about $10 to $12 million available to the board in any particular given year, assuming you have spent down all of the money that has come in to that point. So that is just I wanted to make clear about what kind of range we're talking about for given years going forward now that we've gotten about a third of the recovery in the door. Happy to answer questions about that, and a more detailed projection should be coming by the next board meeting. Didn't want to overload you with even more information for this one, but just want to make certain you all had that information as we're doing our strategic planning coming up in the coming year.
And could you provide projections at the next meeting?
Yeah, you'll have that for the January meeting. I believe Sunflower, I think I've sent it all over to you all, so we'll have that ready for the January meeting, and it'll be helpful for then when we're starting to talk about the strategic plan coming out of the needs assessment.
Good, thank you. Any questions for Chris? All right, next, Shanna. Update on money in the bank and anything else?
Yeah, thank you.
Do you have any?
If we have any, yes. Shanna Zimmer, Sunflower, just here to provide a quick update on a couple things. One is fund balance. The other is our Q3 admin support services. We'll begin with the fund balance update that's in your packet. As of November 30th, the account has received total deposits from the Office of the Attorney General in upwards of $85 million. Total net interest earned in the account since January of 2023 is just over $3 million. The total Sunflower grants paid in addition to the $1.5 million needs assessment grants is just over $2 million, noting that total interest exceeds grants paid so far. Total RFP 1 and 2 grants payments out the door, $9.3 million, leaving a total fund balance of $76,993,798,028. I may have said the 1,000 a little late, but you can see it on your paper, just over 76 million. We do have 2 holds on the account for RFP 1 and 2 that still are in the account that have not been paid out yet. The grantees haven't either finished their first RFP 1 and 2 final reports and any contingencies that are outlying. So we'll hold that as an earmark until those are fully complete. And then you can see the fund balance remaining there, including those holds. A couple of items to note. The interest rate through October was 4.55%. Through November, we incurred a slight deduction of 25 basis points based on the Federal Reserve's reduction of 25 basis points, so it moved in tandem with that rate. Just a reminder, too, that total fund balance of just over $76 million is 100% covered by FDIC insurance. And then for further perspective, in November alone, just in 1 month, the account earned $264,000 in interest. So we're in a good place from an investment perspective, given the financial environment. Any questions over the fund balance summary? Okay. We'll move on to the invoice. This is for Q3 services, so this would be expenses incurred on the behalf of the foundation from July of 2024 through September of 2024. This includes 2 different categories as noted on the invoice: directed admin support. That includes salaries, benefits, staff training, the grants management system that we use, also known as Flux. We also had RFP 3 reviewers meeting during that quarter. So the reviewers' payments and related costs to that meeting are also included here, which is why it's slightly higher than the normal amount that we would bring to you. Then just a reminder that we did get approval from the Attorney General's office to charge an indirect rate not to exceed 10%. So Sunflower is seeking a grant in the amount of $117,977.76. Questions?
Seeing none, would look for a motion for approval of the invoice.
This is Sandra. I move to approve.
Sandra moves, second by Mike Brown.
Second.
Awesome.
Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Just letting you know that Sunflower appreciates the opportunity to work with you. If you have further questions, just let me know. Thanks.
And I assume, getting our grantees paid and all of that must be smooth, and haven't heard any complaints, so that's always a good thing. So. Just to review some things, there is lunch, probably be here about 11:15. So it'd be nice if we're putting the gavel down to close the meeting about then or earlier. But feel free. We got the room till about 2 or 3 o'clock, so we don't want you to feel like we're rushed. Robert and Chris already mentioned Cora, and one of the things that we try to adhere to is referring to the applicants just by their number. So we'll talk about applicant number 1, so on and so forth. The review process, for Ken's benefit, is, I don't know how to, above reproach, or, not that they're infallible, but they do such a great job from a standpoint of a lot of different angles, from their financial stability and digging into what their proposal actually is asking for. So very pleased with that, and just feel very confident and grateful for the review that does take place on each of those. The access for you, Ken, you can always access a lot of the information. Krista can give you how to go online and do that. And we have, let's see, what did we authorize before, 3 or 4 million for today's RFP?
I believe with RFP 3, we were at 8.1 with 2 still outstanding for decision making. That would be, if both of those were approved, it would be a little over 8.5 million. But right now we're at a little over 8.1.
You authorized
RFP 4, have we talked about, is that at 3 or 4 that we've, 4? So before we get started, if anybody has a wish to increase that any, we'll certainly consider that. I've had maybe a few questions, maybe you've had a few questions from applicants or people wanting to know, just how to. Krista and other staff at Sunflower has always been very helpful. I usually just give them their email address, answer the hard questions. So, with that being said, we will, so at 3 million, on this sheet here, there's a cumulative amount that shows you where we would be at 3 million. And if there's the will of the board to increase that, we would entertain that at this time. So the 3 gets us down to applicant 4 million, gets us to 26. And we did 3, we upped it to 8, is that correct?
So I'll add to, it's kind of hard to see the bold lines there. Number 32 is where it would go up just over $1 million over the 4, so a little over 5 million. And then number 38 is where it would go a little over 6 million, if that makes it easier for you all to look at this report.
7 would get us to 42 or 43. And looking at staff from Sunflower, would have a pretty good handle on review, both from, I guess, from a financial standpoint, going up into the 40s, 38. Hey, well, again, this is just, we're still at the beginning. We got, this is going to go on for years, so certainly don't feel rushed to spend the money. If we stay at 4, that's plenty good.
Just reminding the board that you do have in front of you 3 of Krista's brilliant charts of impact estimates that'll show between the 4 million at 26 and I believe it was the 5 million at 32, what the difference in impact would be if you want to explore those.
So this is Gary. I'd ask again, Sunflower, how much interest income did I thought I heard you say we covered the last grant with interest income. Is that correct? Yeah.
So on our end, the funds are held in trust as an agent. So we don't keep a separate income statement for these funds. It's all kept on the balance sheet. So it maintains the interest and any grant payments in and out in one singular account. It's just over 3 million, which exceeds the total grants, particularly earmarked for Sunflower, including the needs assessment, which is 2. So I've got about $1 million gap, if that's what you're pertaining to.
Yeah, I misheard you.
Okay. If you have more questions, just feel free to reach out directly.
No, my point, I thought, was that we had covered some of the grants that we had made with the interest income, but what you're saying is we've covered the cost of Sunflower plus the needs assessment.
And $1 million. There's $1 million difference between the interest that we earned that exceeds the Sunflower grants. So approximately $1 million, whether you want to say that went out in grants out the door or it's accumulated within the account, either one's accurate.
Money is fungible, so
sure.
You can look at it however
Yep.
just the point is that we've made a net $1 million.
Yes.
Over and above Sunflower's needs assessment cost.
Which brings up the good point around the 5% administrative support, which would mean that we have not tapped into that, even if you included the grants that have been awarded to the AG's office, the 100,000 each year and so forth.
And just to say this out loud, this is not an endowment or foundation. This is
correct.
Reserved for 20 plus years. It is to deal with the crisis that we're having today.
I'll let you take this one for legal, but.
Yes, it is addressed. It is designed to address a real and present crisis and not to be preserved for an indefinite period of time.
So, I mean, I appreciate that clarification, and I guess I would just, I don't know if this is a motion or not, but I would argue to the rest of the board that I see no reason to be really overly frugal if we feel that we have qualified candidates down to number whatever.
The one thing I will note on that particular point is that we have asked the AG's office has asked Sunflower to do a detailed financial review down to number 38. After that point, it would require additional resources on Sunflower to keep going into that list. And the rationale for that is based on past practice of the board, as well as trying to avoid spending unnecessary time on detailed reviews that might not produce meaningful information for the board.
Could you remind me again, down to 38, we spent how much?
If we get to number 38, the total and awarded grants to every applicant to 38, the total awarded would be $6,162,189. And that's not to say that we can't ask Sunflower to do additional review. It's just that is additional time and would likely require additional application review at a later meeting.
So in other words, if, say, the board's wish was to go to 6, then the financial review has been done. If we wanted to go to 7, we'd make it contingent upon financial review and, come back at the January meeting or something. If that was that.
Sorry, I just want to add too that we do take time to review applicants, their organization, their financial statements, to make sure that we are comfortable with the information that's available to us to help, I guess, abide by the terms of the MOU, which states that we're to reveal any financial difficulties in the organization, which we really try hard to do. So we rely upon the expert reviewers meeting to rank the applications before we apply our process so that we don't waste any time on organizations that aren't likely to be funded based on how their application was reviewed.
Other questions, Mike?
I'll just say, I definitely concur with Gary's line of thinking, and I brought this up, I think, a couple meetings ago. And I go back and forth in my mind over this. One reason to spend generously now is the idea that we are fighting a crisis that is occurring now. The other reason is my fear of the legislatures attempting to take the funds, which they did last year, which we are going to be proactive in trying to avoid this year or to educate. But on the flip side of that, in my own mind, I then come to, well, we paid for this $1.5 million statewide assessment to help us develop so that we are equipped in the early part of next year to develop a strategic plan for maybe more innovative solutions to this. So I go back and forth with these. I'm fully where you are sometimes, and other times I'm like, maybe we should wait for the assessment. And I will point out there is a significant scoring difference between the top 32 on the form and then 33 and below. I mean, the difference is 9.5 points, which is that's a letter grade if you're in high school. And so I think that might be a consideration too in making decisions on where we should spend too.
This is Sandra Dixon. So Krista, tell me again, you all have reviewed up to how much? 6 million, is that what you said?
Yes, through number 38 for the financial due diligence piece. Okay. Yes, we've reviewed on the actual content base and if they've submitted everything on the reviewer standpoint, but from a CFO financial due diligence through 38.
And that was 6.5?
6.1.
6.1. Are you ready for a motion? So before I make the motion, I would just concur with Mike that I am really interested in what the needs assessment brings to us for potential long-term impact. But I do support increasing the amount of money available to grant, but that doesn't mean we have to grant it. To your comment about questions, assessment. So I would make a motion that we increase the available grant funds to be allocated to 6.1 million.
Motion by Sandra to increase to 6.1. Second, then you're a second.
This is Robin, I second.
Mr. Chair, if I can just make one recommendation for that motion. You might want to be a little more specific to 6.162, since the actual amount is a little bit more than 6.1 million.
The motioner to clarify. 6.2.
I amend the motion to 6.2 million.
Second to the amendment.
Second, this is Robin.
Robin seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of raising the cap to 6.2 million? Aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. All right, we raised the cap to 6.2. We can spend up to that. We don't have to spend all of it. So I think that, yeah, there's a couple of items. We had some contingencies in RFP 3, and we'll look to Krista to bring us up to speed on if those contingencies, and then we can take motion to approve those if they've met contingencies. So Krista.
Yeah, so we had number 36 and 38 that we needed to follow up for some more information, and you all received the information that we've received from them. And so those are the two that were outstanding for this meeting discussion.
Can you remind us which applicants those were for those two? Okay. Which one are we looking at?
And so, looking to you, Krista, they met the, what we were asking, I don't know how to phrase that, but when you went back to them, you felt comfortable that they...
Yeah, for 36, I'd say yes, that's pretty clear. We got enough information from them. For 38, I will defer to Chris on that one.
So 38, if you recall, had a couple components that the board wanted definitive statements, because they had some indefinite statements about what those expenses would be used for. The language, like it could possibly be used for, we might use these dollars for these particular purposes. The board wanted definitive language. We went to the board also wanted clarification on a couple of the projects. They were using, they proposed purchasing sterile water, needles for intramuscular naloxone, and sharps containers. Staff went back to this particular organization and asked for additional details. We had a fairly detailed conversation with this particular organization. And if you recall, previously I'd expressed some concern about potential liability for the organization associated with this particular program. After that conversation, my concerns were substantially reduced. However, they did not get reduced to zero. That is the extent of what I'm authorized to say from the AG's office on that particular point. What I will say is that we did ask, as part of that conversation, both verbally and in writing, for quite detailed explanations of both the programs, those specific programs that we just identified, that we wanted to know, what are you planning to do? What's your experience with this to date? What are you going to do, especially with the sharps containers, to properly dispose of the sharps containers? We asked for detailed explanations on those sorts of things, and you have their written response in front of you. We also asked for specific plans for how they're going to use the indefinite dollars. We wanted to turn those into definite dollars so the board could evaluate those as actual expenses rather than theoretical expenses. You have the written responses in front of you. That's probably the most I can state about this without essentially stepping into your role and evaluating it from a board perspective, if that makes sense.
I appreciate that summary. I just have a couple curiosities. I'm a bit cautious about the amount of miscellaneous or discretionary dollars still not specifically tied to an expense. I understand the reason for that, but as we are, granting dollars, I would hope for a little bit more specificity. I'm also, and I know we've had this conversation before with, excuse me, with other proposals. I'm just curious about granting dollars to send 10 people to a national conference. Great conference. I'm just curious if that's how we want to spend our dollars. But I still had a few questions reduced from last time. Still not the level of, here's how your investment's going to pay off, in my mind.
Sandra, if I can respond to at least the conference piece of that, we did ask that question specifically. Why are you bringing so many people to this conference? One of the points that this applicant made was they want to bring youth to this conference because it would be helpful to develop them for coalition building purposes. And they indicated that in order to bring youth, they have to bring chaperones. And that is how that number got to that size. I will just tell you from personal experience, having chaperoned high schoolers across this country.
Same.
You have to have a number of adults in order to keep them in line.
And having been part of an organization that did that, I completely get it. It just makes me curious. When we have shared with others, we're not going to give you money to send that many people. Not saying completely rule out, it's just continues to be curious for me.
Other questions, comments? Would look for a motion. I think we need to take these individually, so.
Yes.
Applicant number 36 and number 38, so would go to applicant 36. Motion to approve.
This is Mike. I move to approve applicant number 36.
Motion to approve 36. Do we have a second? Seeing none, we will move to applicant 38. Looking for a motion to approve applicant 38.
This is Sandra. I move to approve.
Sandra moves to approve. A second?
This is Jason, I'll second.
Jason seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. Very good. 36 fails and 38 passes for approval. And again, there's going to be many RFPs to come. So thanks for the work of the.
And Mr. Chair, I just wanted to be abundantly clear in case we weren't, when we were talking about the subsequent materials and the conversation about the narrowing of things, that was for applicant 38 that we were talking about, just so everybody is clear on what you voted on.
Say that again. I'm sorry, then I was confused.
Yes, so the applicant we were talking about with the additional materials with the potential indefinites, that was applicant 38 that we were talking about, not applicant 36.
Can we revisit that? Because I'm sorry, we were backwards.
We will open up.
I was concerned that might have been what was happening.
The 38 has the conference, 36 does not. So let's revisit, open the.
Mr. Chair, if maybe it is helpful, maybe we can have Chris give a quick reminder of the description of the two programs.
Yeah, I can do that. So we had the questions, at least specifically, so for 36 was associated with the property taxes and that being a piece for their sustainability plans in the future. And that title of that project was Sober Living Housing Program. And number 38 was the one where we had the miscellaneous expenses asking about the sharps containers and the syringes and the conference costs. And also we asked about cell phone reimbursements from board discussion last time, and that one was called the Harm Reduction Health and Wellness Program. That's number 38.
Thank you. Would Open up for reconsideration applicant number 36.
This is Sandra. I move to approve applicant 36.
Sandra moves to approve. Second.
Jason, I second.
Jason seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous. Now we will go back to number 38. Looking for a motion to approve.
This is Mike. Still move to approve 38. I do like the plan to include youth in the program. I understand the concerns about a huge number of people going to conferences, but I think this is a worthy exception. So I move to approve.
Moves to approve. We have a second. Have a motion to approve applicant 38 and looking for a second.
This is Robin, I second.
Robin seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous. Thanks for the work. Now we'll move to RFP 4. All right. Okay. Just for benefit of Ken, I talked to him earlier and he received all the information. Of course, it came like out of a fire hose there. Told him we would, to Mike's point, maybe he'd qualify with a lesser grade than an A+ today. So, but he got the main gist. And again, going back to the review, we're very fortunate to have Sunflower and their review of each applicant. Feel very secure in what they.
Mr. Chairman, this is Keith. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Sorry, I had some surgery and I look a fright, so I'm not going to turn my camera on for you today. But I'm in the board portal and I'm not finding the RFP4 documents. Are they there, or am I just missing them, or they're not there?
Just to clarify, the documents should have come from, for the summary reports, from Connie, and then what's in the Flux board portal would be the full applications.
Okay, I'm not seeing, I didn't get that from Connie then, the applications from Connie. I apologize. So thank you though.
Mr. Chair, if I might propose just a quick couple-minute break, just so that we can get that issue, attempt to get that issue resolved, and so that we can talk with Ken about the conflict of interest process. Just because it's been so quick, I don't know that we've had the time to do that particular issue or address conflict of issue disclosures, so that we can ensure that you are able to properly vote on these particular grants.
It's 10 till 10, so we will break until 5 till 10, 5 minutes.
Thank you, Mr. Chair.
And yeah, just for Keith, I think you can guide him maybe to the email is that easier than, or Connie's going to resend you the summaries.
Okay, thank you.
the meeting, and we are at agenda item number 8. And so
Mr. Chairman,
yes.
I got that email, but it doesn't have, it just has the impact report. It doesn't have the list of applicants.
Connie shortly after sent a second email, I believe,
Oh,
to you. So,
okay, I apologize. Okay, thank you.
Okay, so we will begin the review and award selection with RFP 4. So we trust that everyone's had time to review the applications. Certainly take time for any questions if they might arise. So we are on application number 1, and I would look for quick review.
yep, just background information, mild financial concerns, and then they were a previous KFA funded, but it's a different project.
Motion to approve application number 1.
This is Jason. I'll move to approve number 1.
Jason moves to approve, second by?
This is Sandra, I'll second.
Second by Sandra. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
This is Keith. I still don't have that list, so I'm not sure who they are or if I should abstain or not. So I'll just abstain.
Okay.
So we can move forward.
Keith abstains. Everybody else is approved, so we will move to applicant number 2. Look for a motion to approve application number 2.
Move to approve. This is Robin.
Robin moves to approve. Gary seconds. All in favor or discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. 2 approve and unanimous with Keith abstaining at this time. We are on applicant number 3. So look for a motion to approve application number 3.
This applicant was a previous KFA grantee as well, just to note.
Motion to approve number 3.
This is Gary, so moved.
Gary moves, second by?
This is Sandra, I'll second.
Sandra seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign.
This is Keith. I abstain again. I'll abstain and just on record until I receive it, or I'll just step out completely.
Okay, and I think they're working on sending it a different way, so hopefully this summary will, and when we're talking summary, I assume it's this document that we're trying to, yeah, both these 2 documents we'll try. Might check I just was telling Brandon I'm more likely to go back to smoke signals than advancement in technology, so.
And Mr. Chair, if I could just ask for the board members to all speak their approval when they're approving, just to make sure we hit the 6 that the statute requires for approving any grant. I just need to hear 6 voices.
So if they say aye, and then also.
Yeah, I would just like to hear 6 affirmative voices so that that little small part of my brain's happy. That's all.
Okay. Okay, we will move on to applicant number 4. And Krista, any comments on number 4?
Sorry, previous KFA grantee as well.
Thank you. Motion to approve number 4.
This is Mike. I move to approve.
Mike moves. Mike Brower, second by?
This is Gary, I'll second.
Gary seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Aye here, so that's unanimous with the exception of Keith, who's abstaining. Thank you. Krista, comments on number 5?
None here.
Motion to approve applicant number 5.
This is Robin, move to approve.
Robin moves, seconded by
This is Sandra, I'll second.
Sandra seconds. Any further discussion on application number 5? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Unanimous with one abstention. Is that a word, abstention? Okay. Application number 6. Comments, Krista?
Nope, none here.
Motion to approve application number 6.
This is Robin, move to approve.
Robin moves and seconded by
Jason, seconds.
Jason seconds. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Unanimous with one abstention from Keith. Application number 7.
This one's a previous KFA grantee as well.
Motion to approve application number 7.
This is Mike Brower. I move to approve.
Mike Brower motions approval, seconded by
This is Jason, I'll second.
Jason seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Unanimous with one abstention. Applicant number 8. Any comments?
Krista, can I just ask a question?
Sure.
Did you all and the reviewers feel confident that this is a prevention proposal versus treatment proposal?
This one we were thinking more of under the providers and health systems, so more healthcare, primary care setting difference there, still treatment related, but since it's in the healthcare setting and that primary care setting is why I qualified here.
This is Sandra, I'll move to approve.
Sandra moves to approve applicant number 8. Looking for a second.
This is Robin, I'll second.
Robin seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving application number 8? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval with Keith abstaining. Applicant number 9.
This one has financial concerns due to newness of the organization and limited financials.
So the concern is just that they're new, not that there's any red flags.
What information did they provide to help mitigate some of those the concerns you may have had?
For this one, they did provide us statements, financial statements. It's just very little data available. There's no history. It's a preliminary.
So essentially, they just don't have much, but they're not asking for the full.
They're not asking for much, so in terms of risk, it's on the lower scale.
I'll move to approve.
Jason moves to approve application number 9. Looking for a second.
Mike Brower, second.
Mike Brower seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor of approving application number 9? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed?
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval of number 9 with one abstention. Applicant number 10, any comments?
Previous KFA grantee.
Motion
And
to,
Just
Go
a
ahead.
question. Did we not also give them money in RFP 3 just a month ago or so?
Correct. And then the amount, I believe, was just over $753,000.
yeah, they've been approved. Of course, they're a fairly large organization with locations around the state. So. And the amount here again is in the lower tier. Application number 10, looking for a motion to approve.
Gary, I'll move to approve.
Gary moves to approve, looking for a second for application number 10.
This is Jason, I'll second.
Jason seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval with one abstention. Application number 11. Any comments? Looking for a motion to approve applicant number 11.
This is Mike Brower. I move to approve.
Mike Brower moves to approve. Do we have a second?
This is Sandra, I'll second.
Sandra seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we are on applicant number 12. Any comments, Krista?
None on this one?
For a motion for approval for applicant number 12.
Move to approve. This is Robin.
Robin, motions to approve applicant number 12. Do we have a second?
This is Jason, I'll second.
Jason seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving applicant number 12? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval of number 12 with one abstention.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
I have a list, but I'm not sure. Was that the one with the total salaries for $96,850? It's the only way I know to identify this.
Yes.
Yes.
Okay, all right. I'm okay to vote now, but I'm still not sure I see who the applicant is. I see in this format.
Yeah, that's correct. It's on a different document. I think maybe the files were too big for what Connie sent you. We'll see if we can get you the
other one would
short
be more
list that goes with the number. Yes.
Yeah, that would be more helpful.
Mr. Chair, do you mind if we pause for just a second to send that email?
Yeah, or does somebody have Keith's cell number? You could take a picture and we'll take a 2-minute break here.
Sorry, guys. Wish I could have been there today.
think we sent that a couple different ways to you, Keith, so hopefully.
Yeah, I have it now. Okay, thank you. Appreciate it.
You bet.
Sorry.
No, you're
Sorry
fine.
for the hassle.
You're fine. I'm just smiling. Usually the, I'm the, probably between me and Keith. Applicant number 13.
Mr. Chair, I have to step away for this one.
Okay.
We're named specifically.
Okay. Get the heck out of here. All right, would applicant number 13 would look for a motion to approve?
And quickly, they are a previous KFA grantee, and then you'll see in their budget, there's a large amount for gift cards, so we're working with them to, we'll get additional information as needed, but they did give us a breakdown of how they anticipate those gift cards to come down. So they gave us examples of purchasing 250 hotel gift cards for a cost of $25,000, $50 grocery or hygiene gift cards for 75 of them, fuel or QT, so I'm guessing that means Quick Trip, but for gas, at $25 a piece for 100, haircuts or beard trims for $25 a piece at 160 gift cards, transportation or rideshare services, $20 a piece for, and 250 of those, wound care kits, $25 a piece at 50, fast food or quick meals for $10 a piece at 225 of those, or in clothing gift cards for 125 of those at $50 a piece. So we asked for a specific breakdown since it was such a large number.
And it's all barrier reduction.
Correct.
Yeah, okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
This is Sandra. I move to approve number 13.
Motion to approve by Sandra. Do we have a second?
This is Robin, I second.
Robin seconds. Any further discussion? Santa?
Sorry, just as a practical matter, in general, the IRS views gift cards as compensation. So rather than doing gift cards, which approximately 15% go unredeemed, this is why we made the suggestion to Krista that we could work with them, and we've talked with the AG, that we'd rather reimburse the vendors that they're incurring these services with rather than a gift card that might go unredeemed or expire.
Now, no, we haven't had that conversation with them yet, but we would like to have that conversation.
Makes sense. We have a motion on the floor by Sandra and the second by Robin. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. 13 is approved unanimously with Keith's vote as well. So we will move to applicant number 14. Any comments, Krista?
Just a previous KFA grantee.
Okay, we will look for a motion to approve applicant number 14.
Robin, move to approve.
Robin moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Second, this is Keith.
Keith seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving applicant number 14, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. Moving to applicant number 15.
On here, they're also the same grantee as number 11, so now previously funded.
Looking for a motion to approve item number 15, applicant number 15.
This is Mike Brower. I move to approve.
Mike moves to approve, seconded by
This is Sandra. I'll second.
Sandra seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving applicant number 15, aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Okay, unanimous approval. We are at applicant number 16. Looking for a motion or comments?
Previous grantee.
Previous. Motion to approve applicant number 16.
Can I ask a clarifying question, Krista?
Sure.
This is virtual MAT. Is there resolution on the CMS piece, or do we need to ask them to tell us how they would do this without
From my understanding, I saw a recent email come through that they have extended the telehealth flexibilities through December of 2025, if I'm not mistaken.
Motion to approve applicant number 16.
This is Sandra. I move to approve.
Sandra moves to approve, seconded by
This is Mike, I'll second.
Mike Brower, seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, unanimous approval. Applicant number 17.
Financial concerns here.
Can you, Shanna, you want to give us any financial, come to the microphone and if you got any comments?
Or maybe follow up in a break. Can you verify the budget on this one, their annual operating budget? This might.
The application states the operating budget as $486,730.
I think that's part of it. The smaller organization.
So is that with the $200,000 grant proposal?
No, so that's just,
That would add.
that's the operating budget they just reported in the beginning of the application.
So they're growing by a third with this grant.
Did they talk about sustainability with that? Because I agree, yes, for a year they're growing by a third, but that's could be a pretty big deficit come next year.
The sustainability section says they're actively pursuing various funding sources and cultivating relationships with foundations that offer multi-year or reoccurring grants. That is what they specifically list, just that continue engagement with local businesses and looking for additional funding.
Shanna, further.
I was just going to add that this is also a really new organization as well.
This is Mike. Do we have any information about where, when? So I'm curious, are they working with the school district, or so it'll be part of school day curriculum or after school, or?
Off the top of my head, while Alyssa looks at it, yes, they are working with the public schools there and have a partnership already, and I want to say after-school programming. We'll double check the application. They are all starting to run it together in my head with 170 some applications.
What?
My thought, that gives me a little more comfort knowing they're tied to the KCK school district and in access to clients to work with and so forth, so.
And just the balance, I mean, we want to encourage innovation and, you know, when you're new, only one way to get old is to find some money when you're new, so, and plus their efforts, you know, again, this is not willy-nilly
So it appears that the program runs outside of school hours. They specifically mention ensuring that they have accessibility and engagement by providing transportation and convenient meeting times and locations.
For a motion to approve number 17.
This is Jason, I'll move to approve.
Jason moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Mike Brower, second.
Mike Brower, seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval of applicant number 17 brings us to applicant number 18.
Chair, I need to excuse myself.
Okay. You are excused. Okay, item or applicant number 18, looking for a motion to approve.
They're previously KFA funded.
I need to step out for 18, 19, and 20. This is Keith.
Okay. Let's see, do we got to do
Still have
something?
enough people?
We have. Okay, Keith is in a waiting room, so would look for a motion to approve applicant number 18.
This is Sandra. I'll move to approve.
Sandra moves to approve, and Jason seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Did you guys aye? All opposed, same sign? All right. Get Mike Brower back in here. Keith's going to be in the waiting room for 2 more.
While we're waiting on Mike, just one quick question. We talked a little bit about funding, sustainability, and all that. In the Ruby, how much of a weight is that? These are scoring really, really high, and obviously that weight must be fairly low.
Yeah, I think the sustainability question, I believe, is only 5 points. However, that is part of the conversation as the review team as well. And so it doesn't always come down to exactly like during the reviewers, if we're thinking about smaller organizations as that priority element or potential impact of the project rather than how it was written. A little bit of that flexibility in scores is not specific to each of those sections at that point, but sustainability specifically, the section in the rubric initially is 5 points.
Applicant number 19, looking for a motion to approve 19.
Robin, move to approve.
Robin moves to approve, seconded by?
This is Gary, I'll second.
Gary seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Same sign. Unanimous approval with Keith abstaining, or that's not the right word. Item applicant number 20. Look for a motion to approve. Any comments, Krista?
Previous KFA grantee.
Motion to approve applicant number 20.
This is Mike. Just a question, coming back to sustainability. Do they give, what do they say as an applicant about sustainability plan? Is there support from the county or?
Yeah, so they specifically state that this would be a pilot program and that the district court has also applied for federal funding from the Department of Justice to maintain the program in the future. And then if that was not to come through, they will focus on finding the funding to sustain the program and then continue to look to federal grants.
Another quick question. I probably should have asked this on the last applicant too, but it wouldn't have changed my vote. One of the things you note here is the timeline regarding hiring new positions. If we're looking at it takes 9 months to hire, are we also going to be looking at extending their time to spend this money, or is it just, you know what? Because I know we've had some issues with that for other reasons with other applicants, but I mean, this is a 1-year grant, so are we just going to, that'll be money not paid? Does that make sense? Did my question make sense?
I think so. They haven't indicated that they couldn't do it within this timeline, but in the past with previous grantees that have run into any kind of snags around that and delays, we've approved up to 6 months of an extension in the past. Not that that has anything to do with what this organization could or could not need, but just for reference.
There's precedence to do that. Yeah.
Yeah, that's helpful. Just to get some clarity in general so that I'm not asking the question over and over again.
Motion to approve applicant number 20.
This is Jason. I'll move to approve.
Jason moves, seconded by?
Robin seconds.
Robin seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving applicant number 20? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. 20 passes unanimously. And we'll get Keith back he's back. Welcome back. We are on applicant number 21. Look for a motion to approve 21. Motion to approve application number 21.
Move this, Keith.
Keith moves to approve 21. Do we have a second?
It's Jason, I'll second.
Jason seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval of application number 21. Application 22, any comments, Krista?
Previous KFA grantee.
Looking for a motion to approve application 22.
This is Sandra. I move to approve.
Sandra moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Mike Brower, second.
Mike Brower seconds. Approval of application number 22. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. We will now turn to application number 23.
Mr. Chair, I have to step out for this one as well.
Okay. Any comments, Krista, on 23? We will look for a motion to approve application number 23.
So moved. This Keith.
Keith moves, seconded by
This is
Robin
Mike.
seconds.
Robin seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Those
Aye.
opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. Now turn to application number 24. Any comments?
Financial concerns here, just limited financials of the organization.
And again, that's based on them being new.
I'm not,
Anna?
yeah, I can't recall if they're new. I think it's just a small budget, if I'm recalling.
Just not bad information, just not a lot of information.
Just to reiterate that on the microphone, they're not new, but they are a smaller organization with a budget under 500,000.
Thank you.
Motion to approve application number 24.
Robin moved to approve.
Robin moves to approve, seconded by
This is Sandra. I'll second.
Sandra seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Those opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval of 24. We will now turn to application number 25. Comments? No comments? Look for a motion to approve application number 25.
This is Sandra. I move to approve.
Sandra moves to approve, seconded by
Robin second.
Robin seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Okay, 25 passes unanimously. Turning to applicant number 26. Any information?
Previous KFA grantee.
Motion to approve applicant number 26.
This is Jason, I'll move to approve 26.
Jason moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Second. This Keith.
Second by Keith. Further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving applicant number 26? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. We will turn to applicant number 27.
Previous KFA grantee and RFP 3 and 4 now.
Applicant 27, a motion to approve.
Can I ask a question first?
Sure.
Krista, so I don't scroll all the way back, are there different areas, geographic areas for the two proposals in this round of RFPs?
Yeah, let me check. So this one's Harvey, Marion, and McPherson. Butler, Marion, Reno, and Sedgwick for the other one.
So sort of the same areas, but with a few.
Yes, and just different programming. So that one is, this one's like youth coalition work, and that one's teen intervene curriculum expansion within the school district. So I think this one's more focused on youth coalition work, and that one's more of like programming with the curriculum.
Thank you.
We are on applicant number 27, looking for a motion to approve 27.
This is Mike. I move to approve.
Mike moves to approve application number 27. Do we have a second?
It's Gary. I'll
Rob.
second.
Gary seconds. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign. Unanimous approval. Thank you. Applicant number 28. Comments?
28 or 27? Yep, on my spreadsheet, I was looking at the wrong number. Yes, 28. So they're a previous KFA, and I didn't mention earlier either. They're similar to the one we just approved in having several different awards across, but they're all different projects. And it's pretty close to the same amount as the other one combined.
This is Sandra. Just a comment about not the applicant, but the idea here. This is a real game changer in the state of Kansas. If there were a certified addiction medicine program, I mean, that is a game changer. So I move to approve.
And I second.
Moves, Robin seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving item applicant number 28? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. We will turn to application number 29, looking for a motion to approve. Any comments?
Previous KFA grantee.
Motion to approve 29.
So moved. This Keith.
Keith moves, seconded by
Robin seconds.
Robin seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval of 29. Looking at applicant number 30.
Financial concerns here with, again, small operating budget of the organization.
Motion to approve application number 30.
Can I ask a clarifying question? So this is capital expense to allow this applicant to renovate, improve, expand their physical footprint. And this applicant probably does lots of other things in addition to serving people who might struggle with substance use disorder. So the benefit is beyond substance use disorder services.
Yes, most likely. Do you have something to add?
Yes, I would just say they state the planned expansion will include showers, laundry, and pantry items, as well as bringing in those different services. And so that's what I was going to add in that respect.
So kind of wraparound services for a majority of that population being someone likely with an SUD.
Applicant number 30.
Additional background with the limited financials, we did follow up with more information on sustainability and whatnot and concerns, especially with a capital project if they run into any snags with budget-wise. And so they do have dollars from the city that will be coming in, and they provided us the draft contract for that. And then they also they're working on amending actually, I think they signed their amended lease agreement for the new space with their leaseor. So they have that, and they're actually going to get 2 years of free rent. Right now, their 800 square foot is free rent. They would have had to have additional rent costs with the expansion to the over 2,000 square feet. But I think from what they gave us yesterday, they have 2 years that they're going to not have to pay rent on. So that's great.
This is kind of a follow-up question to what Sandra said, but have they given us any information about what percentage of the unhoused citizens they serve are actually deal with SUD?
Yep, we'll check their application real quick for you.
Because there's kind of a
99%.
But across the country, 99% of people who are homeless don't have SUD or behavioral health issues.
So the application states in the 2024 point-in-time count that was conducted by the city, 18% of the county's 414 individuals reported having an SUD. And several studies have found that as many as 2/3 of individuals experiencing homelessness report substance use as a problem. And then they quote an article, an academic article.
So for this project, 18% of their clients deal with SUD.
So they're stating that the 18% of the city's point-in-time count of individuals who are homeless reported 18%. And so that would, or I think they actually state the county. So I'm not sure, they don't directly align that all of the individuals they see are all of the individuals that the city and county captured in that point of time assessment.
This is Mike Farrar. I would also point out that in that survey, that's self-report for possibly untreated individuals. So
Are you stating that alcoholics and addicts aren't real forthcoming?
well, you know, sometimes insight is a part of the equation. But I would also say, though, that this, regardless, is a high-risk population.
I'm not opposed to the project at all. I just want to make the point that probably far more of their clients do not deal with SUD than do deal with SUD.
Robin, this is Sandra. I think that is probably pretty accurate.
Any other questions? Looking for a motion to approve applicant number 30.
This is Sandra. I'll move to approve.
Sandra moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Scary, I'll second.
Gary seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving applicant number 30? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval of applicant 30. Moving to 31. Any comments, Krista?
Previous KFA grantee.
Motion to approve applicant number 31.
This is Keith. I need to step out for this one.
Okay. Put Keith in the lockdown room. See, locked out? All right. Looking for a motion to approve applicant number 31.
This is Mike Brower. I move to approve.
Mike Brower moves to approve, seconded by?
This is Jason, I'll second.
Jason seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. All right, we can let him out, or let him in. Look for applicant 32, motion to approve. Any comments, Krista?
Previous KFA grantee.
Motion to approve applicant 32.
This is Keith. So moved.
Keith moves to approve applicant number 32. Do we have a second?
This is Robin, second.
Robin seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor of approving applicant 32? Aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign. Unanimous approval of 32.
Congratulations, board, you just approved $5 million.
All right. That's a pretty good morning's work, I guess. One way to look at it. Okay, so we are approved up to number 38 applications, so we'll just keep on moving here. And again, that's a cap, we don't have to spend it, so we'll go through each of these individually, and that brings us to applicant 33. Any comments on 33? Looking for a motion to approve applicant number 33.
This is Sandra. Sorry, I'm really mouthy today. I'm just looking at the concerns in the application, sections lacking detail, protocols, more alignment with evidence-based practice. Were there any conversations with them about addressing any of those reviewers' concerns? Or anything we're concerned about that we should ask for more information about that?
I don't believe, Emily, can you recall if we followed up with them or not? Not that I recall on that. Typically, it was mostly budget related when we were following up on those kind of things. Anything you can remember for this one, Alyssa?
No, not specifically. I see in there what, in the summary, what you're talking to. The conversation around a project like this probably related more to that impact. So looking at what the board requested, impact and need. Just kind of, again, noting for the board that there were some of those logistical application weaknesses that were noted.
Motion to approve applicant 33.
This is Jason, I'll move to approve.
Jason moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Mike Brower, second.
Mike Brower seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval of 33. Applicant number 34, any comments?
They were approved as RFP 3, so technically awarded. And then they also have some of their curriculum expenses included in both their RFP 3 and RFP 4 applications. And so that might need follow-up to see if they will still need the same amount between the two, or if there's a reason for the expansion here, or if it's duplicative and they were hoping to just increase the odds. There are other pieces to this. It's not specific to that curriculum, but 20,000 of that curriculum is in this app, and 25 was in the last application.
And they were approved in 3? Okay.
Correct.
Looking for a motion to approve applicant 34.
This is Mike. Krista, do you have any detail on, you said there are positions or the FTEs do not align between the application narrative and the budget narrative, on what that meant?
I'm assuming that maybe Alyssa will pull it up, but I'm pretty sure typically that statement is when they list maybe different staff, or they don't list all the exact same staffing positions, but we'll double check here while she's pulling it up.
Yes, so the specific staff that were listed out in the itemized budget just did not exactly match the staff that were listed in the application. So 3 staff members and their experience were listed within the application. And I believe there were additional ones that were listed under the salaries in the itemized budget.
Motion to approve applicant 34.
Before I make a motion, just a question. Is it possible to approve this holding back the request for 20,000 for material or educational materials that they requested in RFP 3? And yeah, just to see if we can get clarification on that first. Or should we table the whole thing and wait for that clarification? Do you have a preference, Sunflower?
Mike, you want to make a motion, or you want to pass over? Then we'll get everybody's.
Well, I'm looking at my treatment experts for, I mean, I'm never opposed, I know what it's expensive to purchase curriculum, and I know to get to use it eventually.
Well, I think you make a good point, and I don't think it's inappropriate to approve it condition upon knowing whether or not they used the previous money to purchase the educational materials. So potentially withhold, I don't know how you say that motion. That's why you're making it. But I think it's appropriate to do that. I mean, if it's for the same thing, we don't need to approve the same thing twice.
Let me take a stab at this then. I move for applicant number 33 to approve, a motion to approve $180,000 in the grantee with the possibility for an additional $20,000 when they've clarified their curriculum purchases. Is that, was it 34? Did I say 35? I've got applicant 34 for 200,000. Am I looking wrong?
How about instead of, let's uncomplicate it, and let's table 34, and then staff clarify if it's a duplicative expense.
Can we clarify the amount requested? Is on this sheet, it says 200, and on the summaries, it says 182,588.
We'll get all that information. We'll table 34 for now and take it up in January.
To clarify, or Jason's question, I believe the 200,000 that was listed on 34 on the summary sheet is transposed with number 33 on the summary sheet, because 30, yeah.
Okay. All right, I move we table it.
It is tabled. Item 35, applicant 35, looking, any comments on 35, Kristen?
Let's see, I think, I believe financial concerns here, and we also had $1,500 here of contingency for unexpected program costs. I don't know, Emily, did we follow up with them, or is that, we would just need to do a contingency?
I don't have this one noted as financial concerns.
Okay, so I think it was just they have in their budget listed $1,500 for unexpected program costs, kind of like what we had the issue with 38 last time around. We'd probably want to clarify and get those either allocated or you all could make other decisions.
So this is Robin, just a question. On the summary sheet that lists the organization under 30, we're looking at 35, right? It
35, yes.
says Douglas County CASA, and then on the other sheet, it says that county served as Shawnee. So does that Douglas County serve multiple, Douglas County CASA serves multiple counties?
I think that might be an error with the way the report was pulled. It should be Douglas County. And I think maybe, yeah, there might be something wonky happening with the counties here, because I'm guessing, let's see, yeah, 36 is not Douglas County, so I think they're one off on the summary spreadsheet. So the number 37 is meant to be number 36 is there, and then 36 is meant to be 35.
35 is Douglas County and across the board. Okay.
Correct.
Didn't we just give them money earlier today? Let me look.
That was the Shawnee County CASA.
Okay. Yep, you're right. That was number 24.
This is Sandra. I would move to approve pending or receiving additional clarification about the $1,500.
Motion to approve 35 contingent upon the 1,500 clarification. Do we have a second?
This Jason will second.
Jason seconds. Any further comments? Seeing none, all in favor of approving applicant 35? Aye.
Aye.
Opposed, same sign. Unanimous approval. Applicant 36, any comments?
Financial concerns here on this one.
Which are?
Any concerns, Shanna, on 36?
This one again isn't isn't tied to newness. Budget is slightly over 500,000. There were just some other triggers within the financial statement that caused concern. We look at certain metrics like historical net profit or loss. We look at net assets. We look at days cash on hand. And when those metrics go negative and they trend negative for several years, then those cause concerns for us. Those are ones that we just like to keep a closer eye on.
The organization's been around.
I think we can look it up real quick.
They don't state a specific established date, just that the original individuals who began working with the organization's mission started nearly 20 years ago.
I was thinking they've been around. Looking for a motion for approval of 36.
While you're asking, just did a quick look. They've been around since 2005, just in case that's causing any uncertainty.
Okay, about 19 years. Motion to approve applicant 36. Seeing none, we will pass on and go to 37. Applicant 37, any comments?
Financial concerns here as well. I believe this one's a very new organization and limited financials. Shanna, anything else you'd add on this one?
The
For
concern
the mic,
is that
she
they're
says
new.
that's true. New and limited financials, yes.
What is their budget?
We'll pull that up.
The operating annual budget listed in the application is $1,200.
How many?
$1,200 is what's listed in the application as the annual operating budget.
Yeah, something's not right.
The other kind of question I have, so they are talking about doing adoptive family recruitment for kids in the child welfare system. And one of the key strategies in prevention is kind of that early on kind of family dynamic. I mean, I understand that. But I do think it's a really good question. I think this is in your comments, the reviewer's comments. Clearly delineating the alignment between what they're proposing to do and that we fund with substance use disorder prevention. And I think I would like to see I would like to see their understanding of a more direct line versus just funding people to recruit adoptive families.
Yeah, I think that's fair. We had those conversations as the review committee, and I also had the same thoughts you did. I think it just came back to the potential impact, thinking about at-risk youth, but I agree fully.
Motion to, we're 37, right? Motion to approve applicant 37. Seeing none, we will pass on to 38. Any comments?
None on this one.
Motion to approve applicant 38.
Move to approve.
Robin moves to approve. Do we have a second?
Second, this is Keith.
Second by Keith. Any further discussion? All in favor? Aye.
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 Opposed? Same sign. Unanimous approval.
I can note that you're now at just over 5.9 of the 6.2 originally allotted. Actually, just kidding.
Krista, let me.
Yes, sorry.
Let me give that number. I have been tracking what you have actually approved so far. You have approved $5,628,797. You have $571,203 remaining of what you have previously set as your cap of 6.2 million. One of the things I wanted to just point out for you, Mr. Chair, is that we have passed over applicants 34, 36, 37. The board has sought additional information regarding applicant 34. No such request has been made for applicants 36 or 37.
So with that being said, we do have authorization to move on to one or two more.
Quick clarification, just based on our earlier conversation. Once we move past number 38, we would also be requesting some additional work by Sunflower staff to vet.
Correct. I believe that happened last year as well. You approved contingent financial due diligence completion.
Right. And just because we've approved going to that amount, we don't have to go up to that amount. So I would actually be okay with us stopping at this point, given what we're seeing in terms of quality applicants, quality applications, and how they're being scored.
Other discussion on moving forward on a couple more applications or stopping where we're at?
It's Mike. I concur with Jason. I feel like the applications are not as clear and well thought out as we had previously, and so I would be fine with stopping.
This is Sandra, I concur.
So this is Gary, and this is a conflicted statement, so I'll start with that. One thing that I just noticed as we've gone through this, what we've approved mainly are for people. Right?
We can't hear you.
Can't hear you.
What we've approved are mainly for people, salaries, budgeted, FTEs, et cetera. People by definition only have so much capacity, right? So I would ask the subject matter experts, like, how do we use this capital to drive more scale rather than have individuals that can only help 30 people, 20 people, 15 people, whatever the number may be? And that's just an observation based off of what we've approved over the last, and by definition, the rubric must gravitate towards that, I guess. So I'll be quiet now.
So this is Sandra. I appreciate you kind of raising that observation. I think the proposals we funded the past couple years have value, and they, help a certain number of people. I also, especially this time around, I've seen, gosh, here are some opportunities for collaboration and growth of scale, right? Even within the same organization, in the same communities, same region, if folks could sit together and talk about how they might do youth prevention in the child welfare population, I mean, whatever that is broader. I hope that's where we get with the needs assessment, that here are the opportunities for larger scale. Because maybe it's because of the eye that I look with, I can see, oh, if this person, this person, this person, this person all came together and talked about continuity of a continuum of service and prevention, wow, wouldn't that be cool? And they could serve more people. So I guess the value of what we've been doing the past couple years is see where there's some initiatives for things, and if we can just encourage people to be more innovative in how they do that together.
Well, and that's, again, conversation that we've had, and we won't take time now, but I will tell you that we are definitely going to be going down that road. I've been spending lots of time on that because, you know, we're in this position where we're up here and we can say, oh, wow, if they would, and so hopefully, and I feel confident the board's all on board with doing that. And, you know, I've been looking outside of even Kansas, you know, oftentimes discover you don't have to invent the wheel. You know, maybe they're doing this in the state of Washington or something like that. And so we have the funding, you know, that's I guess the cool thing or whatever is that we've got the money to make some things happen going forward. And that really is what excites me. And you know, you tell you too, Sandra, and I think the whole board, you know, it'll be exciting if we can pull that off in the future. So thank you for those comments, Gary and Sandra. Well, I'm fine with just, go ahead.
This is Keith. In looking at applicant number 39, it seems like they're a pretty critical partner in this battle, not just in Kansas, but nationwide. Would their application, should we consider their application or have conversation about it? Maybe strengths and weaknesses before we close the door?
I would be open to that. I think you got to.
I need to step out.
Why don't we, Krista?
Yeah, sure. Once Gary's out, for those. All right, so number 39, they also applied last year for a similar project, and we originally thought that it might be a little bit duplicative of what we're doing with the needs assessment this time around. It's kind of an expansion upon what our needs assessment could do in developing an actual anti-stigma campaign. So it would be a broad population kind of campaign, not a specific, like what we're hoping with the needs assessment to find things like within pain management providers, there's this kind of stigma that we could target X, Y, and Z kind of strategies towards some very specific kind of strategies, rather than informing a broad-based kind of media campaign on stigma. Alyssa, would you add anything on this one? Strengths, weaknesses, details?
The only details I would add here are noted in the materials you have. In terms of the funding would cover the development and research behind such a campaign. The implementation of it would be something separate. So you'll see that's noted as the first weakness there, and that was something that was discussed in the reviewer meeting, trying to kind of understand what that may or may not look like in the future. Seeing as any potential funding awarded would just be on that development. And I believe that they state like example materials of what could be done. So then it would just it would be an implementation part 2, I guess.
So are they doing this in other states? Is this sort of a?
Yes. Yeah, they've done it in multiple other states. Yeah.
An area that I've spent quite a bit of time on is stigma, and, you know, at a national level, and still involved with the organization, not this one. So I'm aware of what they have developed, and it seems to be work. I don't know the number of states that they're in now.
Their application doesn't state exactly how many states, but they give examples of Pennsylvania, Kentucky, and Florida. And so that work began in Pennsylvania in 2020, 2022. And then they don't state a specific year for California. I believe they are in multiple other states as well, but that's what's listed in their application.
From what I've heard is that they're pretty effective, you know, with this program that they developed, so whatever that's worth.
Krista, I appreciate your kind of summary of needs assessment versus the one we're paying for. I do wonder, though, would we have an expectation that they connect with the KU folks? I'm just looking at, you know, $6,000 for in-person site visits for needs assessment, just to be sure that we're kind of sharing information, aligning some things so that we're not getting a couple different pieces of information.
Yeah.
To your point that you made, you know, we could direct them. No need for them to go out and do the same thing that KU's already done. Why don't they work together and save $6,000, basically?
And that was actually a strength of their application. They do specifically state that they will work with Sunflower and our CPPR team because they're fully aware of the needs assessment going on.
Would entertain a motion for approval of applicant 39.
This is Mike. I'll just make a comment. I think this is different than what we funded, and this is an opportunity to learn some things. And sometimes grant money is utilized to learn whether it's successful or not, and that could be of value to us going forward. So I make a motion to approve this application.
Would that be contingent on the financial review? Because this one has not had the
Sure.
financial review, is that right?
Mrs. Key, that's second.
Keith seconds.
Yeah, and I want to add the contingency of the financial review.
Motion to
My
approve
motion.
with continue. Mike motions to approve and Keith seconds. Any further discussion? Seeing none, all in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. All right, well, we are going to call that a day's worth of work. Thank you for getting through that process, and we have Krista to make a comment.
It's really quick, Pat, just so that we know after this with announcements and whatnot, is it okay for Sunflower to go ahead and let the people that were approved here today know, and then send declines to all that are not contingent? So I believe 34 and 35 in particular. I think 34 specifically you wouldn't approve until we come back next time, so they would be the only one maybe that doesn't have any kind of confirmation, correct?
I would say yes.
Yes, Mr. Chair, I just wanted to make certain we're perfectly clear that the staff will go back to applicant 34, bring additional information, bring it to the board for the January meeting.
Yes.
Okay.
And then everyone else that was either passed over or not, they would be declined or approved if you've already approved them.
Yes.
Okay.
Pat, this is Robin.
Yes.
Before we close the checkbook, could we talk about 38 and 40? They both have to do with opioid prescribing practices. And I know from the review column, there's some concerns about buy-in and who's going to participate. But I just know from my experience in hospitals, really focused work between pharmacy and physicians resulted in incredible decrease in prescribing of opioids. So I just think that might be that's really preventative. If we can prevent someone who needs the opioid in the first place from becoming addicted because they got 90 opioid pills instead of what they should have gotten, 13 or 14, makes a big difference. So I'd just like to have a conversation about those two.
That's 38 and 40 are both
Right.
part of the same.
Well, they're not the
Yeah,
same,
38
but they're both the same purpose.
38 was approved.
Oh, okay, I missed that one. So I guess 40 then, it's working with pharmacists.
We would still have cap, I think, to look at 40, so the wish of the board to consider 40. Let's see.
Mr. Chair, just to be clear about how much cash, after, including 34 as allocated but not yet approved, there is $221,055.20 remaining in your budget.
Okay, thank you. And that includes the 39 approval.
Yes, it does.
So I'll just put it out there, see if there's the will of the board. We will consider applicant number 40, looking for a motion to approve applicant number 40, subject to financial review.
This is Robin, I would move to approve.
Robin moves. Do we have a second?
It's Gary, I'll second.
Gary seconds. Any further discussion?
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
Are we running into the same narrative budget issues that we ran into with 34 where things don't match up, and in that case we asked for clarification before final approval?
This one's the 84 $1,611. I think there's just something that with the formulas in Excel that might have thrown off some of the reports, but this is I think the list overview should be correct. If you're looking at this one, those amounts should be correct. I think when it translates counties to the summary report or the one-pagers, I think there's something off.
I just noted the weakness that says inconsistency between key staff,
Oh,
the budget, and that seems like something that we've requested additional information on before. Should we do that here, or are the concerns about risk there not significant?
So very similar to before, the narrative includes information on one staff member while the application itself lists two specifically. And so just noting it's unclear FTE or just anything regarding the position not listed within the itemized budget.
Have a motion and a second on the floor. Any further discussion? All in favor, aye.
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 Opposed, same sign. Passed unanimously. Now we're going to shut the checkbook. Thank you. I appreciate the conversation all throughout the process and adding those. I think there's value in that. Speaking of such, are there any things that you would like to see going forward? I know Sunflower in particular is always looking for ways to improve, and I think they've taken some steps over the last year and a half, incorporated our thoughts. So before we move on, or even if you think of something and want to email, they're very receptive to any suggestions. So make comments now or email suggestions to them.
This is Sandra. I have a curiosity, and Chris, this may be more for you. In looking at the proposals the past couple months from municipalities, cities and counties, do we receive information, or could we receive information about how those funds are used? Because I'm aware of some of the projects in my own community, I have some curiosity about using funds from both buckets, or just ensuring that we're not duplicating efforts here. So I'm just curious if we would have the opportunity to see what the other bucket of funds is doing.
So by the terms of the MOU, the municipalities that receive funding have to turn in an annual report on how much they've received and what they've utilized those funds on by, and I believe it's end of February, so that we can compile that and get it ready for annual reporting to our national partners. What I can tell you is that for what cities and counties have previously spent money on up through the end of 2023, after far more technical wrangling than I thought was necessary, we did get that on the Sunflower website page. There are summary, just so you can look it up and make it easier to use, there's summary pages on page 5 and I believe 607. The entire report is 1,300 pages long. But what that is the full detail from each participating city and county, so that there's perfect transparency on that report. Next year and going forward, we are going to refine how that is displayed so that we can actually make that a little more accessible for folks. If you were asking what did they spend in 2024, I won't know until February. And inter-year, like during the year, I can ask. They have no duty to tell me short of an open records request.
I will note we have that question within the application. Of course, it's all self-report, but we did add that question in and I think we just added a little bit extra detail to get a little bit more clarity on that, ideally up front.
Materially, I'll tell you that at least through 2023, cities and counties were not spending really anything. 2024 does appear from conversations I've had to be a better year for utilization. I'm hearing more ideas, more projects that seem to be in the works, and from the handful of budgets I've tracked, including the City of Lawrence's budget and Douglas County budget, they actually do seem to be intending to utilize the dollars in 2024. So we'll have a better picture come March, what that looks like. And the last thing I wanted to let folks know on municipalities is that we do have a conference coming up that is in the works for municipalities to better improve utilization. Additional details will come out next month on that, but just know we're shooting for towards the end of April, early May, for getting the municipalities together to make certain they know how to spend these dollars as part of our continuing encouragement and education on utilization.
Pat, if I may, just when you guys are thinking about feedback on the reports, if any of these reports are not helpful to you, that you don't really look at, if you want to let me know, or if it's like, is the one pager that's front and back really the most helpful, or is all of it really helpful? Any kind of feedback you have there and what's most helpful or not, feel free to send my way.
Thank you. And again, feel free to email or reach out Sunflower if you have any comments or want to, any clarification. The next item, the legislative education planning. Currently, I've met with the chairman of the Senate Ways and Means and the Appropriations Committee, and working on scheduling a time to testify, hopefully be the week of the 13th, maybe 14th or 15th ideally. So we can hit both of those that day. The plan is to probably have Shanna and Krista and myself, and I'll testify, and then have them available to answer any hard questions that they might have. And I think we're developing, so-called one pager that you could use if you meet with any of your local legislators, or if you know any, or reach out via phone or whatever. And having come from that world, I can tell you that they do welcome that, especially if you can get to them before the session, which is still 2 or 3 weeks away. They want to hear from their constituents and such, so don't feel like you're prying into their time or anything. That's what they get paid the big money for. So.
I can note, Pat, I've got the one pager. Chris is routing that through his agency to sign off on it, I believe. But I also, in addition, will have talking points as requested. So I will have a talking points for you all that will have just kind of, we've awarded X number of grantees for a number of dollars, and then copy and paste some of the success stories from previous grantees that you all could pick and choose which ones you would want to share. I went in and de-identified it if they had any client names or anything like that in there. And then also working on an additional talking points from our former annual report, like all of the board members and those kind of things, which I will update with Ken's name now. And then also kind of a initial outcomes kind of one pager that if you all wanted to share some kind of visual as well with them, working on that as well. That will look like our estimated impacts, but actually pulling data from either, right now I'm looking at their 6-month progress reports because not everybody's submitted their final reports yet for RFP 1 and 2. So working on those as well behind the scenes. Chris, anything to add on the document with your agency?
No, it's working its way through. I think we should have something ready absolutely before the end of the year, hopefully by next week, if I can make that happen.
And we'll let, make you aware if you're close by and want to come whenever we are scheduled. And again, if it follows suit, I think the House Appropriation typically meets at 9 in the morning, and Ways and Means are at 11 or something. Does that sound right? 10:30. So that's what we're trying to do, is just get them back to back. So if you wanted to show up, and then also probably that one pager, we can distribute it to all the legislative offices. That would be very appropriate to do that.
Should you ever need information from me or need me in person, if you were up here to talk to someone, I am down the street and will be here in 10 minutes. So.
Very good. The next meeting, anticipate it being virtual. So the IT folks can work with Ken, get him set up to do that. But that's our anticipation. And then the February meeting, we had moved it to February 21st. And then March 14th, we typically meet the second Friday of the month. Does that sound right? And then there possibly could be some conflicts on the meeting room. Will probably be in the Capitol. They think there'll be a room available. This one potentially could be allocated to a legislative committee on Friday, so we'll work with legislative services, but that's just a FYI, and that session typically goes from January to April, so it wouldn't touch us too much in that regard. So, with that.
Pat, is it possible to have the calendar items sent out for 2025 in advance?
Sure. The dates. Yeah, the only thing, the room is kind of they'll know more after the first part of January. And so we can get that. And again, January is going to be virtual. So February, March, and April could be in a different room, probably still be in the Capitol, but.
Mr. Chair, one last thing. I know folks have asked this before. Once Sunflower is taken care of notifying RFP 3 and 4 applicant winners, we'll have a press release ready to go that will likely go out next week. Little Christmas news in the dry period for state news. So we'll put that out. And if you have a desire to share that with your constituencies, let us know. We'll get a copy of the press release to you.
With that, we are adjourned. We do have lunch.